Hunting After Dark is sponsored by Feral Texas Outdoors Thermal and Night Vision Optics. Hey guys, it's Jason Price here with the Hunting After Dark podcast and my co-host Justin Rumley here. And we have an interesting topic here that we're going to be going over today. And we are, what did we decide to call this? Tools of the trade?
Yeah, I think either tools of the trade or new tools of the trade or something, something about that. It's just, there's all sorts of different things out there that you could use. But I think the most popular thing that we've been posting on social media that's caught a lot of attention is, the new call box that we've been using. So we figured we'd call it something, new tools of the trade or new tools of the air type deal. So we'll kind of get in there and kind of describe what's going on here, what we've been doing, what we've been playing with, some of the new callers out there, and, kind of what we personally think, not, other people definitely will think the other way, but just what we personally think here at Feral Texas Outdoors, what we like to use, what we like to do. We'll kind of give you some insight on that, and I'll let kind of Jason take over from here.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their preference in calls. They fight about the calls. They fight about what to play. You and I both kind of pay attention to what's going on with coyotes during the season and where we're at to kind of what we start off playing and what we end up doing. And, it's starting to be one of these deals where you're like, what's the new and latest and greatest thing?
Yeah.
What's going on? What are you guys using? What do you try? And you and I both, we kind of switch it up. It just kind of, we try different things and we just see what works.
I mean, definitely. We definitely try to be different because, around here, the varmint calling it's unbelievable how many people are doing it, how many dogs are getting educated by somebody that doesn't quite know what they're doing or just getting into it. So it's definitely been challenging. So like Jason said, we just try to be different and try to do our own thing. And, if it works, then hell, we found a new thing to keep rolling with.
I was traditionally we were big Fox Pro people. We use Fox Pro. A lot of the guys that we work with, they use Fox Pro. And my favorite one that they had, I have to say had, because they can't get it anymore.
They done retired that one too.
Yes, they retired the X-Wave. It's the larger speakers than the Shockwave and the X-Wave. The Shockwave is the smaller speakers, while I like the larger speakers of the X-Wave, which I can't get that one anymore. If I could, I'd order another one. But mine...
something's always falling off of it.
Yeah. I was gonna bring it up here and put it in the video, but I didn't want to embarrass Fox Pro because I have it like duct tape and zip tied to keep the decoy onto the back right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's working.
Yeah.
It still works. Sound comes out of it perfectly like if it was new, and the decoy works fine. It's just I don't have any screws to screw the decoy back on because they've all broken off because we've thrown that thing around.
It's been abused, that's for sure.
Covered in blood and dust and just all banged up, but it still works.
Yeah,
still able to put calls on it, and it's still an awesome call. I do believe, and I do like the multi-directional sound.
Yeah.
And that's something to get kind of into here as we get into some of these other calls and stuff. I do like angling my speakers like this. I will not put them straight out. I will not put it straight. I mean, I sit there and say, okay, our wind's blowing this way. I want a speaker angled that way. It's kind of where they come from this way. Mm-hmm. They kind of come from here. Or they kind of come straight on. I will angle those speakers to have that sound go in a certain direction.
Yeah, I mean, just being able to, like you said, make it multi-directional, point them in different ways, calling, just say you got a good patch of woods here on your right and good patch of woods here on your left. You want to be able to aim those speakers in that direction. And, try to make the most out of that set, try to pull them in from two different directions. And
and I mean, a lot of guys will, sit there and tell you is like, coyotes and stuff, they can locate a sound within 30 yards, 30 yards in diameter.
And then they usually know, where they need to go or where that's coming from and, what's going on here.
And that's kind of why I like the different direction speakers and it coming from different sounds because they're not quite, I'd like to throw them off to where they're not quite sure where that sound's coming from. They hear it pretty strong here, then they hear it kind of faint over here, and then they're trying to move and try to figure out. Now, maybe that's kind of a bad thing sometimes, depends on what your setup is, if they try to circle. But, sometimes if they circle, sometimes that gives you a better shot. It gives the other shooter, like you or me or whatever, a better shot when you're sitting here and doing that. But I've been a big believer in having two speakers, not just one. I mean, now, X24 is our biggest seller.
Yeah, we sell a ton of those, even the Hellcat Pros, Hellcats, Prowlers, Basically, their full line of products that Fox Pro has, they all sell very good for us. I know the big thing is everybody they're in between the wanting to upgrade, but don't really need to upgrade because they're just being needy. They're just basically waiting for the new ones to come out, you know. So that Fox Rose kind of left us out on a limb on it. You know, they're kind of just
they let
teasing
us know
us.
X360 was going to be delayed, so probably expect that in the fall, guys. You're probably not going to see it. You're not going to launch it over the summer.
You know,
may get it maybe like the very end of it, but we are waiting for that because I do like the way that their speaker setup is. They can move speakers. They can move the sound around those different speakers and change those directions.
It's basically going to be able to do, you know, it's going to be a one-stop shop. Going to have everything you could possibly want inside of a collar, multiple decoys, multiple speakers, you know, be able to do the ultrasonic frequency calls, you know, regular sounds, you know, so it's going to basically do everything you want it to do. You know, that's kind of why, you know, we've got a lot of our good buddies that, you know, they want to upgrade, but there's not quite an upgrade. And they said, like, Fox Pro just kind of left us on a limb, so we're just waiting, you know.
I mean, so
like, that's the main reason why you haven't upgraded.
Yes, I said, I'm going to duct tape my collar. I'm going to still have my collar, but I had to get, essentially what happened to mine is my battery went dead.
Yeah.
So I had to order new batteries, so I was kind of down for a week, you know, down for a week, needing to get a new call. And that kind of got us over to, we were kind of using the Turtlebox a little bit for calling pigs.
Yeah.
You know, just because we had talked about, you know, one of our buddies and some other people we knew were also, you know, using these turtle boxes, using other speakers to call in pigs just because it had bass to it.
Yep, that's the big thing.
You know, most of these callers are kind of all that treble sound. It's all high acoustic and no real bass to any of these calls.
Yeah, most people know, I mean, you listen to a pig grunt. I mean, he's got a deep...
You got bass tone to him.
Yeah, a deep rumble in him. And like you mentioned, the higher pitch, higher treble calls, you know, that you see, like the Fox Pro, for example. Yeah, you know, like your X-Wave had the Bluetooth. You could play, you know, the pig sounds through that, but they were all higher pitched, you know, same way with like the Convergent or the Fox Pro.
Or even like
the Lucky Duck. Yeah, any of those stock sounds, they were all higher pitched. So there was a 50-50 gamble if it was going to work or not. And then, like Jason mentioned, a couple of our buddies around in the area, they were like, man, try the Turtlebox. Try any, you know, speaker that you would use, you know, at the beach or, you know, at the pool or something. And it works a whole lot better because of that bass. And sure enough, you know, we used it that one night and we're like, holy crap, man, that's pretty good. And it sounds so much more realistic for the pig sounds than like your Fox Pro, your Lucky Duck type.
Mm-hmm. And so that got us down this path of, well, let's try to varmint call with it.
Yep.
And so we picked out some of our favorite sounds. You know, whether you're MFK guy, you're Tony Tebby, I'll tell you, we're heavy on the Tony Tebby guy. We got one of his buddies that's one of our customers, old Doug.
Yeah, Doug. Doug. Him and Tony are pretty tight, man. He always comes and talks to us.
And so we told Doug, it's like, you know what? We'll download some of the calls. We'll try them. Which ones do you suggest? And we kind of took some of Doug's advice, different ones he kind of mentioned, you know, to go out there and try. And I would say it was actually quite successful, not being down a call. You know, it's like, you know, I could go take a different one out. And I've tried them all. And I said, but I want to try this. I want, you know.
It's something different. You know, it was working with the pigs. You know, we had no choice. You know, like you said, we were down a Fox Pro for a week until we were able to get a new battery in. And then good buddies of ours were using it for pigs. So we're just like, varmint hunting. Let's try it. And here we are.
It works great. I mean, I think the sounds and the quality of sounds you use, having those there's deeper tones. Because I mean, think about a coyote howling. I mean, that is a deep down sound when something's howling. It's, you know, whines and stuff like that. I understand some of the high pitched stuff, but you just need a little more range in your sound. And I think that is really setting things apart for why some of these customers, why are some of these manufacturers redesigning calls?
Yeah, no, I agree. And like you said, it's just a little bit different from the Fox Pro, from the Lucky Duck. You know, everything is so high pitched, and yes, that's kind of the ideal overall goal that you want to be at, is a higher pitch, gain their attention. That's what they're used to. But I feel like that little bit of bass inside that Turtlebox is what's making the difference and making it be so successful while playing these sounds and calling these varmints and pigs. You know, it just, to me, it sounds just a tad bit more realistic. You know, like when you hear a dog howl and he's close, you're like, holy crap, you know, that it's got just a little bit of a rumble in it, you know, a little bit of bass. And you play the Fox Pro, and yes, it's very similar, but I just still think that little bit of bass coming with that Turtlebox is what's being the game changer with it.
Now, I think the only thing I think I've probably messed up with these is probably the LED blue lights on them. I think I probably should have covered them up.
They're able to see it.
Able to see that bright blue light coming off of it. So now it's like I got a little ghillie set up, or I'm gonna get me a piece of cardboard or duct tape and just tape over it and black it out to where they can't see that so much. I mean, sometimes I would kind of put it behind a terrace and some bushes to where it wasn't really visible. But the not having that in the field. what we've always played around with on here is a life-size coyote decoy.
Yeah, oh yeah, can't forget about old life-size there.
Distress sounds right now have just not been working in our area where stuff's not really coming into that distress sound. So going with the vocals, where we got the vocals going, getting lots of engagement from coyotes, howling back, coming in, racing in, charging in. Well, I don't want them staring at this big old box sitting out there. So
yeah, it don't look normal out there,
advantage.
that's for sure.
I'm taking advantage. We have a lot of plowed fields right now. There's nowhere to hide it in a couple places. And taking full advantage of a full life-size coyote decoy. And so it's been interesting to see them. They locate that sound, they look, and they see a coyote out there.
And that does kind of help distract them for that split second to get you that shot.
It doesn't take them long to figure it out once they get up there, and then they don't see movement from the decoy.
Yeah.
Which, if I could figure that part out, I will tell you, I would be
a game changer.
I'd be in it, man. So if I get something where I could have my coyote decoy move, turn
put
its
some
head,
kind of little turret
something.
in there and make your own. You'd be $400 or $500 in on this plastic coyote, but hell, it might be worth it just to watch.
I'm about to go buy one of them robots that move, the little robot dog. I'm about to go put fur on it and go try to see if it worked.
Hey, that'd be kind of cool. You could wrap it, to look like an actual coyote.
Go get a hide, put on it,
put
and
some
have it go
pointy
move
ears
around.
on it. That might be actually worth it.
Oh my God! So we're gonna make this a really expensive venture, but it's trying something new, doing something different, and playing around with the turtle boxes, which they're probably gonna send me a cease and desist letter if I keep tagging them on social media.
Yeah,
they're using their turtle box to shoot coyotes.
Yeah, like, who's this crazy maniac on here? Dang, from Holland, Texas, shooting everything with his turtle box,
posting his guns and thermals with turtle boxes.
Yeah,
but I liked it so much, I went and bought. This is actually my second one. I actually bought two, so we have two turtle boxes now.
He's got to build his own dual speaker system calling box. He links them together and puts them out there, one that way, one this way, and
it worked last night where I had one in one direction going and the other one going another direction, and it worked out great. I mean, the Bluetooth signal. I mean, I've had them out 40, 50 yards out, and never lose signal from my phone. And I'm utilizing the phone as the call, playing different. I could play different apps. I could play different files I've downloaded, and being able to play all of them. And I'll sit there on one device, and my phone's now my remote and know what's going on. I'm also monitoring our game cameras at the same time, and then the Bluetooth connection between those are so stable, and so crystal clear sound coming out of both. I've been really impressed with the technology that they put in speakers, and I've heard people talk about these for a while.
Oh yeah, they've been super popular. Not for the hunting side of it, but it's just more of the casual, hanging out by the pool, going to the beach, and being waterproof and destructive. You can pretty much do anything you want.
I did have Jess clean this one up. They do get covered. They were both covered in blood.
Yeah, I think that last coyote me and you shot. It leaked all over the dang thing. I touched it and I'm like, yeah, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's getting a little gooey, but hey, it's waterproof, bloodproof, so
that's right.
It's set ready to go.
Starts raining on it, you put it in the wet pasture, it's gonna be just fine. You ain't got to worry about anything. So it's been fun. It's been different,
and the battery's been good on it.
I was gonna say
that's kind of been cool, and they charge fast.
That's definitely
they charge up really
fast when it comes down to that. Because I know I'm notorious. I was telling you earlier, I can't keep nothing charged. I forget half the time. And here I am, 4 or 5 batteries just dead. And I'm like, whatever. But that's another story, later day.
Well, Justin been out hunting with one of our buddies, and so I went out solo last night. So I hooked up 2 turtle boxes and took 2 life-size coyote decoys. And I was actually very surprised that how successful that was. And, I mean, could have probably been successful with a regular old Fox Pro and nothing with just motion decoy. Yeah, who knows? I mean,
more likely. I mean, you can't take anything away from
who knows? Was that more successful than the other thing? But the thing is we call that place all the time.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, you can't take away anything from Fox Pro, Lucky Duck, Turtlebox, you know, like you said, you never know if you could have called him in with something. You could have called him in with mouth calls and sound like shit, and they would have came right on in. You know, who knows?
Yeah, but it's it's just I've had a lot of fun trying something different, doing something out of the ordinary from what you would see on TV or whatever shows you see or hear or forums you're on. I was like, you know what, I'm going to do something completely different, and it was I called 2 stands, had coyotes come on both stands, and what was weird about it was that from one stand to the other, I called coyotes from one side of the property. I probably drove 3/4 of a mile on the same property, got a little further away, called from the other side of the place, totally completely another set of coyotes, completely different, and came in, and I was still calling on the same property it's not that large. I mean, it's less than 2,000 acres, and didn't even touch one whole 1,000. I was like, there's one more section I probably could have called. I was tired, already been successful. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and go home so I can get in bed by 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it was surprising that the success rate of a place that we have called constantly, been out there a lot. So I don't know what it was. It was just a good night, having something good to distract them with. I don't know. It's kind of interesting when you go and switch things up.
Yeah,
but
definitely is.
I was running, so I've been running the turtle boxes, and then you took the FREQ out with you and Jeff.
Yeah, this past weekend, I definitely
running the ultrasonic. So everybody knows the Turtlebox FREQ is.
It's a boom box, man. It's got its own.
FREQ is our box right here.
Yeah, it's got its own little pouch it comes with, and to me, like I said, it looks like a little boom box. But yeah, Jason was running the Turtlebox this past weekend. I was running the FREQ in two totally different areas of the state, and I still stand behind this. If there's a cat in the area, you put the FREQ out there, it will be there in less than 5 minutes.
That ultrasonic sound.
Yeah, I mean, there's no secret to it. You turn on Money Bunny, let Money Bunny, make its magic happen, and it's going to come in. First stand we went to, the landowner said, "Hey, he's like, there's tons of cats here. I know they're here. I scouted it. I've seen footprints. Got cameras up. There's cats here." And so I was like, "Oh, perfect. We need a cat. Throw the FREQ out there." And as soon as I did, turn Money Bunny on, and man, I think that cat was in 2 or 3 minutes later. That cat was on a beeline. He was headed down the road, and he had that slow creep, but eyes were straight on the FREQ. He was headed straight to it, and then so we shot that one. That was actually a 24-pound tom that we got, and so I still stand by my statement that it's a cat killing machine. And then second stand we went to. We were like, man, maybe we can upgrade our cat. I think there might be a bigger cat here, landowner saying. So we put the FREQ out there, and sure enough, I think that one came in about 5 minutes later. And but it wasn't quite bigger, so we were just like, let's leave it behind. So we left it behind, and we started running the Fox Pro because, I'll be honest with you, if you're going to spend $2,000 to get the FREQ, just know you're probably going to call in more cats than anything. It's real heavy on the distress. Distress sounds good. All the rabbit sounds sound good, but when it comes over to some of the coyote vocals, it really doesn't compare to the Fox Pro, the Lucky Duck, or playing it through another auxiliary speaker. So just know the FREQ, if you want to call cats, want to be a little bit more successful with the cats, it's definitely going to help out with that aspect of it, because the distress, all the rabbits and things like that, the birds, they sound just a little bit better. And I don't know if it's the ultrasonic, the high frequency that's being the game changer there, or what it is, but like I said, it's just still a cat killing machine. Like we've killed cats in places we've never thought cats were.
Yeah,
but
I've never seen them on a camera, never even seen a hint of them ever with any other distress sounds. We sit there always calling for coyotes and stuff, and just never seen them. And then it's like we go and take that FREQ, and then they come out. But
yeah, it's totally different. It's just boom, they're there. You're like, holy crap, I had no idea. Because you're in this wide open hay patch, and it's coyote country for days, and you're like, well, let's try it. And we turn that sucker on, and boom, there's cat coming in hard. You're like, holy crap, I didn't have any slightest idea that there was a cat there.
Well, I sat here and forgot that the last bobcat I shot was the Turtlebox.
Well, yeah.
I forgot.
I mean, that just shows.
I shot. That was an eye shot, but that's rare. I mean, that was one of the deals where I didn't have any idea there's a bobcat out there.
The thing is,
it's almost the same story. But then again, the times that, when we've run to South Texas, we know if we go put on the ultrasonic and there's a cat around, like the cat's coming in.
And it's a new place. It's never been called, really. You know that your odds of calling cats in cat country that's never been called are going to be very highly favored, especially using the FREQ. But it goes back to our statement as well as who knows if you would have turned the Fox Pro on, who knows if you would have turned the Turtlebox or Lucky Duck on. You could probably have that same success, but being the call that it's designed to be and having the little bit better rabbit sounds, in my opinion, like the Money Bunny it just sounds totally different.
Yeah, no,
it sounds very good.
My favorite calls on the distress side. I mean, and there's been nights where Justin and I have put out 2 calls.
Well, that's like this past weekend. You were over there having 2 dogs, and then we were at 2 turtle boxes, and we were over here we had the OG Fox Pro Shockwave out there. We had the FREQ next to it. And so we're picking our own little call setup, and you over here having all these others. So that's the same way as like we let the FREQ play for about 5 or 6 minutes, on Money Bunny. If nothing happened, then we went over to the Fox Pro and let the vocals and, other distress calls go to work. And, it worked a couple times for us. The coyotes didn't come into the Money Bunny, the rabbit distress, and then 5 minutes later they come into the coyote vocals. So it definitely worked.
I think some of our buddies and stuff sit there and say that to be successful, we're running 2 different calls. Not everybody can probably do that, but the thing is it's scouting and knowing their area, knowing the land. Kind of take that scouting report and then making a game plan for that of what you're going to do. And so you knew going in, it's like we could get a cat, we could get a coyote. I mean, me, it's like, I know I'm just going for coyotes. I'm not likely going to have anything else. It's pretty easy for me. But, it's sometimes when you're sitting there trying to mix it up between multi-species.
Yeah. No, it's just.
Fox a little different than bobcat. And
you just got to always be different. I feel like if you stick to the same, some people argue with me about this, but, it is what it is. If you try to stick to the same things over and over and over and over again, they just eventually wear out and stop working.
Because you don't know if they're sitting there waiting in the woods and they just didn't come out that night, and you're like, well, it was a bad night. I'm gonna go back out and do the same thing again.
Yeah, you're gonna play that coyote's be like, oh, here this old man is with this old janky Fox Pro again. But that old man's gonna argue with you and say, well, I'll kill 500 dogs, in my life. Oh, great, man. You gotta modernize your stuff and try something different.
I mean, because a lot of places I hunt are places where there's not a lot of animals.
Yeah, I mean, not saying that they're high they're high pressured, but the more you change it up, the more success you have. You go back to that place tomorrow with the FREQ, you might kill a cat, but if you go there tonight with the Turtlebox and play vocals, you'll kill coyote. So it's just you got to keep it different. That's what I personally think.
Because I know a lot of guys up north talk about how there's always somebody on the next 50 acres close to them. It's like, trust me, there are people next to me where I hunt that do run stuff and don't get anything, and I'll go out there and I'll go get something. It's because always trying different tactics, different things, different calls, different callers, just to see what's going to happen. I mean, of course, we do have our favorites, what we like to use.
Yeah, well, we personally prefer. Yeah, we've got that all day, but we try to keep it different, use everything.
But I don't get to the point being so stubborn that I won't try to change something up.
Yeah, I mean,
if
absolutely.
I'm just like, if I can hear coyotes howling somewhere around the area and I'm not calling anything in, I'm going to go in with a totally different strategy the next time I go in.
Yeah, I agree.
And you and I have never really sit there and go run the same thing. It's like we'll sit there and we'll get on the phones and run through stuff. It's like, you know what? Let's go try this at this place and see what happens.
Yeah.
And, it's like we're never set on to certain things. I mean, and that's the thing is a year ago, we're doing things totally different than what we did last year.
A year ago, we were loading a Fox Pro with the 1,000 sound capacity to the tip top and running that and just, this ain't working.
And nothing but like pup whine stuff. And now we're doing something totally different.
Now we got the dang Turtlebox out there that we just got. We were sitting there getting drunk behind, and the next thing you know, next night we're using it in the field to call coyotes with. The versatility of it is just crazy. And then, we're going to South Texas and going down into the cat country. Here we are pulling the FREQ out. Or we're going, 5 minutes down the road and we want to play some vocals. We've got the Fox Pro rolling again. So we turn that thing on and let it scream some Tony Tebby vocals and shooting a coyote behind it. So it's just
it's getting to the point where I'm playing probably 90% vocals, I think now.
Yeah. Because if you could talk to him, that's the thing is being, all into the varmint hunting, getting close to a lot of these guys will tell you, if you can talk to a coyote, you'll always kill a coyote. You've got to learn their love language, and if you can communicate with them and understand what certain howls mean, and you howl back, basically they howl, I'm over here, and then you're like, well, come over here type of deal. If you can communicate with them on that level, you're always going to be successful.
Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff we talked about, breeding season's over.
Yeah.
Everything's kind of paired up, and we've been shooting a lot of pairs.
Yeah, now and then this past weekend, everything was soloed up again. We shot males. So that kind of is just starting to tell me, well, you got these females that have already kind of been bred. Now they're separating again. Now you've got to start telling them something different in a different language with different howls and different, vocalizations, group pair or single howl, something like that, But those are the trades, those are the secrets that you've got to figure out on your own. Type of deal.
And I know we're a little different down here because we are year round. Because 4 or 5 months they'll be having pups, right?
Yeah,
Gestation's 4 or 5 months.
But by roughly after harvest season, you can go out in these fields and kill little 20-pounders.
Yeah, so we can see little 20-pounders. Yeah, get them about a month. Get a month.
Like,
or
is that
old.
A jack? Like
the jackrabbits are bigger than little pups running out.
Like, dang, I don't want to. Bam! Oops, sorry, buddy.
Hey, the footage is just as good. We'll try to sit there and say pup, 20-pound pup at the bottom, so people, when they see footage of the thermal, sometimes they don't get confused because they come out with these big old huge ears. Y'all can say we're messed up or not, but you know what? Hey, a little young dumb coyote, man, I will take advantage of a juvenile coyote.
You can get that boy in about 30 yards, no problem. He'll sit there and look at you, give you the perfect broadside shot, or he'll chest shot, head shot, whatever you want. You just little to the left. Boom! Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just about yell at them and to sit there and to still look around, perk them big old ears up and look at you. I mean, when they come in, I like it when they come in with multiples, when they come in brother and sister. And then you're like,
the whole family tree, and then mom and daddy are waiting at the tree line. You're like, oh, poor
You just get to squeaking
guy.
a little bit, and they'll come in, and I know that's messed up for some of you guys. Probably say that's awful shooting them young coyotes, but you know what? Though. I'd rather get them young than get them old. Getting old ones that are too smart, where I'm making 200-300-yard shots. Nah.
Yeah,
I'll get them at 40, 50 yards when they're young. I'm sorry, it is what it is.
Agree, yeah.
All these cattle farmers, it's like, don't let them big enough to sit there and go tear something up, because our home place, I mean, they were packing up pretty good, and we left it alone, and they were getting pretty big. I mean, that one night you and I went out, was it 4 or 5 we had rolling it? That 4? Well, yeah, what was the ones that came from the neighbor's place and ran in front of us when we had 2 coming?
Yeah, I was gonna say, we had 2 different groups coming in. We had the ones coming from across the street at the neighbor's house. We watched them come into the pasture, and then you look up hillside, and here comes 2 down the way, and it's just like, well, just shoot. Whatever one at that point, it's just like whatever one stops first, shoot. If you're looking for the biggest one, shoot the one in the back. 90% of the time, he's usually the bigger one. That's the male that's kind of letting the others go up front and scout everything out, and then he hangs around. And if they get shot, boom, he's first out. Or if it's something good, then he's coming in too.
I mean, because that was where we were set up that night. My back porch was 150, maybe 200 yards from where we were set up.
We're just a tree line away.
And they were just starting to pack up like that, and and they're all running together, and it's like, I got to get them out because he had to sit there and had calves on the ground.
Yep.
And I mean, I ain't gonna worry about my kid. I'm not really worried about my kids. Those coyotes usually run off, but my dogs like to go out there and they go run around.
Yeah, they like to be wild.
Pointers will go out there and run. They'll come back all cut up and bit up. And
yeah, they like to get in there with them too. They act like that's why we got to lock them up every time we go out there, because they want to. They're gonna act like a coyote. Yeah.
And but that's the thing, is that it's a blast to do this. It's always fun. I mean, I did it since I was young, and the pig things kind of came on later for me, but because we don't always pigs around. But the coyotes and stuff was always a fun, always a challenge. Running. We were running lights back in the day. We still get some light guys. We've converted a couple big light guys here lately this year.
I was gonna say that the light lovers, man, we've slowly converted them over. At least got them into a thermal monocular, something to help them scan with, or find wounded animals. But everybody's slowly starting to transition. But some of them light guys are pretty stubborn, man. They love their lights. But hey, like I said, they're keeping it different, doing their own thing. If you don't mix it up, you're not going to be as successful as often. Like I said, that's why we kind of just keep it different. Don't stick to the same ropes. Some people are like, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, I'm not going to let it get to that point. I'm just going to be different.
I mean, I've got to the point where when we go in places, we start setting up in different spots. you know, to see if the wind's still good, of course. But then again, it's like, you know what? We've always called here. What if we did this section? What this other end of the field? Or what if we did this other set of trees on the other side and see what happens? Shit.
But I've even
something I was gonna say.
I mean, I've even been as crazy as I don't play the wind. You know, I just pull in there. I was like, I know there's coyotes here. I'm wherever I set up, and you know, does it always work out? No, but does it work out more times than it fails? Yeah, absolutely. But it's just trying different things that other people don't. You know, if somebody's hunting, you know, down the road, you know, of course they're going to try to play the wind, play this, play that. You know, I'm just going to go in there. I'm just going to call. I know
they're going to come from right here. Yeah, the wind's going a little bit, but if I got their interest peaked enough, you know, we might be good.
You're going to get them out if you can get them out a step out of the trees, that's all you need.
Well, I did get beat one time. I took my son Wade. Wade's 9, and him and I both were like, over the top of those cows, that's not a deer. He's like, Dad, that's not a deer. That's a coyote. That's a coyote. And it's like, it's open field. There's a house not 100 yards from him. I was like, maybe that's somebody's dog. And he's like, no, Dad, it's a coyote. And he was bedded down in this field, curled up in a ball. And I was like, so we call.
Yeah.
He must have watched us the entire time, pull into the field, set out the calls, everything, and watched it all happen because he never moved. I have the video of it with the handheld. I drove up with 40 yards before he got up. I thought that it was already dead. It never really moved a whole lot. He was
just laying there.
Something's like, maybe it's sick. Maybe it's got to be somebody. It's a stray dog out here. Like, something just wasn't right. Nope. Took off running.
Yeah, because I remember you showed me that video, man. He looked like he was curled up. And then as soon as he realized you were there, boom, he gets up like any other dog would and darts the other way. And you're like, man, that's not a bad coyote.
Because I went over he was behind a terrace, so I had to look at him just to my left. Like I didn't ever see him at this angle to catch him. And as soon as I passed the terrace, I looked to the side and saw him. I was like, shit, and tried to get the gun out, trying to pull the gun out and be safe and try to get on my steering wheel and try to shoot.
I ain't the first time you've done that either. That's the
second time I've ever seen that in my entire life.
And of course, both times I ain't never been with them, you know. It's weird. Hell, that last time it was like 2 degrees and you're out there walking this big old open field. He spotted them, and I think you get in about 30, 40 yards from him.
Same thing, same situation. I have no idea what causes them to do that here. I don't know. It's just shock. They're cold. Maybe they're sick.
I don't know.
You know, they were hanging down, waiting. I mean, I just don't ever see them like hunker down. It's like, this is what they do in the woods. You know, you
wrap up like a ball and lay up.
You know, they may howl and then just stay hunkered down like that and don't react to anything.
But some of them both of those fields, they're so dang long. Like even though that one was 100 yards from the field, nobody goes out there. They're wide open, you know, cornfields. And so maybe they feel secure. You know, I don't know.
Because I saw them here. There are calves with cows here. Yep. There's a jackrabbit running right over here. I mean, it's all right there. And he never moved. I put a coaxer on, put a rabbit on, put whining sounds, and I'm just like, he knew what was going on. So maybe that one's going to be the hard one that we may have the hardest time catching and getting.
Well, maybe you just called, but right before he pulled into that field, he probably just swallowed a jackrabbit, and he said, "I'm done. I can't move. I'm gonna nap right here. I'm gonna nap right here until morning and get out of here." But maybe he wasn't hungry. I don't know.
Oh, that was weird. Is he ran 100 yards and stopped. So I got him in my crosshair. Just as I get him crosshair, he trotted a little bit and got behind another terrace. So I drove another 50 yards, got him in my sights again. Like, he wasn't barreling out of there. So nothing was dead. Nothing was dead around there. So I guess maybe
he cleaned it up, licked it off, cleaned the dirt. And maybe that jackrabbit was still kicking in his gut or something. He was full.
So I don't know. We're just gonna have to sit on water as it gets dry. We got to catch him one night on a water hole,
absolutely,
on the pond, and call something in. Get him because he is smart now.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be it.
So I know everybody gonna talk about smart coyotes and stuff being hard to call in. Been there, seen some weird stuff at night. It gets friggin' wild.
I agree.
And then you're sleep deprived. And you're like, did that really happen? I don't know. I'm confused. Like, yes, I know that happened.
Well, the goofiest stuff happened to you in the middle of the night.
Well, you had that fox come up.
I did.
Your fox in the barn story.
Yeah, that poor guy. He's no longer with us, and half of him is on the barn's, side of the barn, and the other half, he's in some hole now. But yeah, I think it's about 15 yards away. He steps out from that barn. I'm like, oh, this ain't gonna be good. And boom, half of them went on the barn side, and the other half I picked up. And I was like, I didn't want to do it, but I had to. I needed a fox at that moment.
Do you think that was the female that you shot, and the male was running out, or you think vice versa?
I think it was the female.
Think it was.
I think it was a female.
And then that male.
And then the male, he kind of just, gave us some good footage.
Him barking at you was what I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, he gave us some good footage, and he wandered back to the barn. So I know if I can go back right now, and it'd take me less than 30 seconds, and I could put him in the truck.
It's like fox are the weirdest ones.
Yeah.
The weirdest stuff, especially when they're coupled up like that.
Mm-hmm.
Jess has been with me enough. Well, actually, it's right here.
That fox.
And the other one. I don't know if we got the second one around here, but no, but the male and the female.
Yeah.
Got this one along with the female together. Shot one and shot the other.
Yeah. Now you can usually about this time of year, you can get them there paired up no matter what. You're always going to have a male and a female, and they're going to be lifetime pairs. They're always going to be together.
It's so odd, some just that kind of that weird behavior and stuff that you've seen.
Yeah.
And we're talking about in breeding season. We got those. We shot those two that were banging.
Oh yeah,
in that field too.
You ought to check that video. That's pretty good. I wanted to get him while he was getting his.
I'll try to post it on the podcast.
Yeah. I was gonna say he can't get his. I can't get it. I'm getting him, boy. I think he shot. I don't know how it happened. They both, male and a female were on the ground. So I don't know if they what they had going on. I know what they had going on, but I ain't gonna say anymore. But yeah, but that was quite interesting. It was pretty fun. And then this last weekend, hunting with Jeff, we buried the dually in the middle of a hay patch.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought that was maybe from the last time he buried it, but no, he did it again.
Yeah, we were cruising to a stand, and we were like, coyotes were howling. It was perfect. We were like, oh yeah, we're about to smoke these dogs right here, and then all you hear is left, 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 and vroom, that front end of that dually just sank. And then we were like, we're committed, we're stuck. There ain't help. And then another 3/4 ton came and tried to pull us out, and we didn't even budge. And then so he ended up calling a buddy with a tractor down the road, and if it wasn't for that tractor, we wasn't getting out.
So you got lucky that somebody was awake.
Well, this was about 11:30, so the guy, he was pretty lit, but we ain't gonna say nothing. He had a tractor. He made it there in one piece and got us out, did his job, and so we didn't worry about that. We fed him some more fuel and kept on rolling. So yeah, it was just the things. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen in the middle of the night. It's just how it is.
Or happened to Jeff.
Yeah, I will say we were talking about that. I still say, because at dinner right before we went out, we were talking about being stuck. And then we get stuck, and then
he got stuck before.
And then he was like,
not the first time.
He was like, man, the last 2 or 3 times you've been with me, we've been stuck, right? I'm like, that's not my fault. Hey, don't blame me on that. But hey, it's always a good time going out there with Jeff, man. We always got a good story to talk about after it's all said and done. Like he was saying, is it the jar half empty or half full? It's just make the most of it and move on. There ain't nothing you can do about it.
That's why we run around the buggy all the time. It's like, we're not getting stuck. This thing's not going to get stuck.
Yeah, I can say I've been stuck personally middle of the night hunting. I actually buried mine in the middle of a field.
Run around that 2-wheel drive
in sand. I don't know how the hell we got in it, but I buried that. I had that blue Ford I buried that sucker in sand in the middle of a field, and I was stuck before I could even switch it to 4-wheel drive. I blinked my eyes and I was bottomed out. I'm like, what the hell just happened? But it's 2:30 in the morning, you're sleep deprived, you're cruising through a field trying to make a call, and next thing you know, you're stuck. And
it's the only thing we haven't got stuck in the mud, but we've
cut some tires.
I'm about to say we get tires.
I think the first time we ever been out, we had that tire. I don't know what happened. That was
same spot,
the
same
freakish
thing.
deal. And then the next time we go out there, same thing happens. We slice the piss out of that tire, and here we are changing it. But that time we were a little more prepared. Yeah. We had the impact. We had a bigger jack, so boom, we looked like the NASCAR pit crew out there.
Yeah, we were in and out on that one. Then we decided it was time to get rid of that truck. That truck was bad luck all around.
Yeah, we ran out of fuel, lost a few tires. Every light on the dash was on, so we were just
system messed up. It's like, no, it was time to go.
It's time to put this one to the truck graveyard, and we won't talk about the replacement because we don't have that one either.
No, god dang it.
That was at the dealership too.
I think I'm gonna work a deal. Dealership, tell them they just make me an offer. I'll go buy a new one. Just tell them they buy the one that's in the shop, and I'll just go get me a brand new one off the lot. I think that's what I'm gonna do.
You might have to.
Or they're gonna go
'cause,
negotiate.
yeah.
Man, there was one more story I was gonna sit here and tell, and I forgot what it was now. I don't remember if it was about calls or what. What I was sitting here gonna talk about. There was something else I was gonna mention, but dang it, I wish I could remember. I don't know. You know how it is, guys. You got plenty of freaking stories about all kinds of crazy stuff where it come down from calls and rigging stuff up, making things work. We've definitely been through a challenge. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. And I was by myself, so I was trying to shoot video last night because you're talking about turning over the buggy and the high rack.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now we got a lower high rack. Our high rack's no longer high.
You don't have that top weight.
It's perfectly. It's now
it's a little bit more
level.
balanced. A little more balanced.
Yeah, so we'll have to do a video on the new rack there from McMahon. McMahon over there in Cuero, Texas, Jordan's doing a good job making some quality racks. He got a brand new design he had, and he contacted me, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's perfect for you and I.
Yeah, he knew you were going to fall for it.
Yeah, he did. He got me pretty good.
You were the first one on the list. He was like, I got one sold, and I ain't even called him. So, that's how
he made
it works.
He made it just for me is what I'm going to say. But I like the new one because you can get out one side, I can get out the other, and we still have access to the bed.
Yeah, that did help. It has a lot more efficiency. The old one, you get into the bed, had one ladder, but now, like you said, you got two side ladders. You got access to the bed. It's a lot lower, so you're not sitting there feeling like you're going to tip over one direction.
Well, I felt like when we were in it, like as high as it was, like we would move more. I feel like it doesn't move as much now.
Yeah, it's a lot more stable.
Not as top heavy and things like that. With us moving around on top of the rack, we're both trying to shoot and do stuff like we were at. We're out at 3C Joppa Cattle Company
at Bryson Ranch. Don't forget.
Bryson Ranch.
Come on now.
That when we were out there, I mean, I felt like I shoot one, then you shot the other. I mean, I felt like we were pretty stable.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, riding the back, you ain't got to experience that just yet. But cruising around in the back, like
I'm always
up there, that one's a little more secure than you. Or I say secure. It's a lot more stable when you're cruising around, being up in the rack.
Even though it does have a little spacer piece he's got built for us if we ever wanted to jack the thing back up.
You could.
But no, I mean, I like it the way that it is. I was, getting in it and getting out now. I was like, man, this is just so much more convenient.
Yeah.
And it's been a blast running that. So whether that's contributed to the success of talking about new tools and things, running around with some of these calls, but that was definitely one that I'm really liking. So been throwing the Turtlebox, throwing the FREQ in there, throwing it all in the bed.
Yeah, no, it's
my decoys.
It's definitely been helpful having that bed space. It's just like I said, it's been different. It's helped out a lot. So I think we're rolling pretty good. I think UPS man's banging on the door.
All right, you close us out.
Yeah. Well, make sure to reach us at huntingafterdarkpodcast.com. Be sure to check us out on Apple and Spotify at Hunting After Dark Podcast, and be sure to check us out on the Pursuit channel as well with our Hunting After Dark TV show. But if you have any questions, give us a call here at Feral Texas Outdoors. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.